Michael Walsh was a Wal-Mart employee who recently got fired because he found over $300 in a parking lot and he returned the money.
Really?
Now, the reason why he got in trouble is because the 45-year-old who's been working at Walmart for nearly 20 years found the money. It wasn't in an envelope. It wasn't labeled in any way. He had no idea who it belonged to. He put it in his pocket and then finished up whatever he was doing and then went inside to return the money, or at least he says that was when he wanted to return the money. At that point, there was a woman who was freaking out about the money she had lost, and so he gave the money to the manager and he returned it to the woman, right? Well, apparently, he waited too long to return the money. He returned it 30 minutes after he found it, and that's unacceptable. They fired him 2 days later.
Jesus.
Now, he had just recently gotten a raise of $14.35 an hour, and then he was only 2 years away from a 10% lifetime discount card for 20-year employees.
It's literally the worst line ever uttered.
No. His quote,
so bad for him.
His quote almost made me cry. He said, "I was really looking forward to that lifetime discount card in 2 more years. They took that from me."
Oh, the 10% lifetime discount card. So, I mean, look, this is going to take a serious turn for a second, although the whole story's got a lot of problems in it, right? Is that this is the kind of guy that the right wing, like, says is a loafer and stuff. Like, he's like, this is what income inequality does. It makes you look forward to your 10% discount at Walmart if you work 2 more years to complete the 20, right? And then all of society's problems are blamed on guys like this, while the rich and the powerful get away with all the things that they get away with. Okay, now, having said that, let's get back to the core of the story. And maybe here I'm the bad guy, but I would have done the same thing he did, and I might have done it with not great intent. Okay, so I'm curious what you guys think of that. If I found a couple $100s in the parking lot, if it's in a wallet, I'm immediately returning it because I know whose it is and I can see their ID, et cetera. No question about it, right? But if it's just a couple $100, I'm putting it in my pocket.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
And so, but then he's inside and he sees the woman who's looking for it. Then I give it back to her.
Yes.
Right? Because then I know who it is, and I'm not going to take that couple $100s from that poor woman. But what am I going to do? Turn it into the cops who's going to keep it in the evidence room for the next 20 years or whatever? They're not going to find the person who dropped the money in the parking lot. No, and that's how the world goes on around. And one day I'm going to lose $20 or $200 or whatever it is, and some lucky schmuck's going to pick it up in a parking lot. That's the way the world goes around. But if you know who it is, you should return it. And to fire a guy over this is insane.
No, it's hideous. It's hideous. And Walmart disincentivizes honesty. So now if you find that money, keep it. For the love of God. Don't say anything. Bury it in your pocket.
But
that's such a good point.
But here's the thing. They did find he was on surveillance putting the money in his pocket. So,
but by the way, even if you were going to return it, where would you put the money?
Yeah.
In order to carry it, you would put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
You're supposed to put it on top of your head.
But they found the surveillance tape, but he'd already returned the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no
it's
point.
not like he
so
was
at least now,
caught.
if they fired him now, at least if he kept it, he'd be like, well, at least I got $350 in severance pay. I mean,
I feel like they wanted to fire him and they were looking for an excuse and they probably waited for something like this to happen to fire him.
I don't know about that. That's normally the case. I know exactly why you're saying that. But the bureaucracy has gotten out of control, right? And so now some of that bureaucracy is soul crushing. Well, if I don't fire that guy, I'm going to get fired. So I'm not taking any chances, right? Because I got my 10% discount coming up. So I'm going to kick down, right? And so, look, if I fire him, I'm clean hands. But if I don't fire him, then my boss says, hey, wait a minute, that woman complained. Why didn't you do something about it as a manager? And nobody thinks, hey, what about that poor guy that worked for you for 18 years? What about that guy? Don't we care about that guy?
Yeah.
Right? And because the system has become so brutal, nobody cares about this poor guy.
Yeah, but that guy's union will probably help him out.
Oh, right. He doesn't have a union. There's no one to help him.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't fire this guy. He did the right thing. He did the right thing. He did the right thing. I mean, my God, the surveillance, you should be proud of him. And they should have a system in place where, I don't know what I'd do with $200. If I found $200 out in the parking lot here, I'd bring it in. If I found $200 anywhere where I could realistically identify the place it vanished from, right, I think I'd bring it in. If it's on the street, no, then absolutely not.
Well, the weird thing was he found $5, brought it right in immediately. Then they send him back out. Then he finds the rest of that dough, and then eventually, 30 minutes later, does give it.
By the way, $5.
And by the way, you don't
$5. Who turns in $5?
What kind of lunatic turns in $5?
Yeah, and look,
I'm not breaking stride if I find $5 out here.
I don't even know if I stopped to pick it up. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's a Calvin Klein. So look, and I said it with like my thing of like, hey man, I'm not sure I turn it in. But in this case, we don't even know that that's what he was thinking. He might have just picked it up and be ready to turn it in half an hour later when he did turn it in. Like maybe he thought, oh my God, my break time is over. If I go a minute over break time, they'll fire me. Let me rush back in, and then I'll give it in when I have an opportunity. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let him go. Let him go.
Every store should have a policy that if an employee finds money, they turn it in, and you wait 5 business days. And if nobody comes and claims, and you can realistically, if somebody comes in and said, I lost more than $300, you know that's their money, right?
Yeah.
Nobody comes in and does anything, you give it to the employee.
Oh, I know. I'd love that. But you know, no store's going to have that policy.
But I'm sure the management at Walmart is in touch, and they'll probably make this right.